This is Forglar, a gorgeous map that has become infested with deadly dinosaurs. I've been stranded here and given 100 days to beat Ark Descended, an incredible mod filled with godlike creatures. I'll have to face off against or even tame divines, celestials and abyssals, amongst many more. Fighting hundreds of bosses and desperately trying to not lose my sanity in the process. No, please! Please! Let me up! I'm playing this mod completely blind, having seen no guides and read very little. Will I be able to beat this challenge, or will I crack under the pressure on my quest for mod domination? This all started as I woke up on a beach due to an itch on my wrist, when the trees collapsed behind me due to some giant brontos. We are back in the land of the dinosaurs, baby. Let's see how long I can survive without dying. Running over, I found some bushes that are harvested for berries and fiber, and I could see some lysters nearby which I went to say hi to.
Hello, guy. Descended lice. Oh, you're aggressive.
I fled down the beach where I found some stones I was able to grab, and this was important since I needed it to craft a stone pickaxe. But as I did, a Descended Microraptor took me down. Death number 1, and this is a great time to introduce you to Nat's rules for surviving overhauls. Rule number 3, avoid everything. Dinos are usually not friendly. Having died made me drop all my stuff, so I ran back to grab it, just hoping the Microraptor had gone and seemed to have vanished. Thus, I ran along grabbing all the resources I could, and even punched a tree for some wood. Also, I could craft a stone pickaxe. The most basic of tools, but a necessary step in progression. With my pick, I broke apart a rock for flint and a tree for thatch, then opened my engrams where I unlocked the recipes to craft a spear, a hatchet, and some basic cloth armor. These would have to do for now, and I crafted a piece of each, then began to look around for something to turn into a porcupine, instead spotting something scary. There was also a carbo nearby which I stabbed in the face with my spear, only to realize it was a lot faster than normal, so I ran off before it could take me out, instead spotting a dodo fighting off a lystro and winning. Dodos are tougher than you think.
Scary dodo.
Only to tempt fate with yet another dodo.
Oh! You... Bob Dodo.
I respawned near a bar where another dodo was fighting a raptor and winning, and I left the dodo to enjoy its victory while I went off to recover my stuff. The dodo did try and get me again.
Oh no, leave me alone, you stinking dodo. Yeah, run away. Run away. Not back towards me.
And I made it to my stuff shortly after, then decided I wanted revenge. As early on in playthroughs, gaining experience is what matters most. So with that goal in mind, I climbed up a rock, spear in hand, to see if I could take out the dodo, only to miss every spear throw. I spent some time gathering more resources when I had another look through my engrams and saw something called the Descended Spear. Now usually modded weapons are pretty strong, so with the spear clenched in my fist, I went to take out that turtle from earlier.
That does a lot of damage. Oh. This is gonna be harder than I thought.
Yeah. Did I mention I've never played this mod, and I've also never watched any videos on it, so I was challenging this mod completely blind. And with only 100 days to get to and beat the final boss, it was going to be tough. I found my lifeless body nearby and decided that I really have to just prioritize experience, so I unlocked some thatch structure engrams as I could craft these for good chunks of XP to level up. And the sun rose to signal day 2, as I found a pink spotted Phiomia called a bob. Now this was a passive tame, so I started to shove some major berries into its butt to begin taming it, then went off to see what else I could find, including a random dodo. I threw a spear into its head and it ran away, right past a strange purple pego, which saw the commotion and summoned in his own squad of thieves. The purple mob girl boss stole my measures and she liked them enough that she tamed up. However, before I had a chance to even name her, as I had bigger problems around.
That's a scary looking shark.
No, not that.
Oh.
Yeah, I hadn't seen that there was a devilish phoenix on the beach. Now, Devilish is the 8th type of dino of the 19 total possible types you can find, with each type being stronger than the next. So I have a hella long journey of deaths, suffering, and pain ahead of me before I am able to deal with those. I was just sad my Pego had died in the assault, so already our first tame had been lost. I chose to vent my frustrations by trying to murder the other Pegos in the area, only for a raptor to show up and take me out instead. We're only on day 2 and 5 deaths in. This was starting to get painful. I ran back to get my stuff, only for the raptor to still be there as I dived into the water to escape it.
Oh, Sharky. Eat the shark. Please, raptor. Shark, eat raptor. Raptor, eat shark. Oh!
I dashed in and out of the water, trying to escape the raptor as a random Pego came out of nowhere that the raptor pounced on instead of me to eat. Yes, talk about plot armor. Except the Pego's friends decided I was at fault, so they turned their attention to me attacking me. So I had to flee only to see even more danger.
Why is there wyvern now?
I was really starting to think this area of Forglar was not a good starting point, so I decided to follow rule 4 of my guide. Know when to cut your losses.
Yeah, I don't think I'm getting that stuff back.
And waking up over 700 meters away, I dismissed every tame in progress as a form of renewal, then turned to begin the process of gearing up all over again. I had no stuff, but at least I had the levels I had earned so far. One important engram that I was able to unlock was the reusable bowler. With this one item, I could save myself from raptors, dodos, and most other smaller tames. So it wouldn't keep me alive forever, but it would at least save me from more embarrassing dodo deaths. Maybe. Something that would keep me even safer would be a base, so I learned some basic engrams for thatch and wood structures, gathering the resources all to build. A small 2x2 wooden hut. Yeah, it's not much. It's day 3. What do you want from me? But it's my new safe space. But while building, I had seen something lower than me on the food chain. I am sorry, little one. With my first glow pet kill under my belt, I turned to the glowtail nearby, only to see that glowtails were above me on the food chain as it killed me near instantly. If only I had crafted the bowler. So that was the first thing I crafted once I had my stuff back. First thing I used it for, murdering the ichthyornis for its meat and hide, and I even got my revenge on the glowtail. In doing so, I had orphaned its child. A child I was able to claim as my own, and I named it Glowbert, my first tame. Very nice. We don't talk about the Pego. I carried Glowbert home, and it was here that I discovered my newly claimed Descended glowtail was passively producing silica pearls and Descended essence. Now this is incredibly important. In Ark Descended, different creatures of different tiers will passively produce a variety of key resources. Descended essence is what I needed to make excellent kibble. Exactly what I needed to tame excellent dinos. Except I needed a lot more resources before I could make my first bit of kibble. So in order to protect my new essence farm, I placed a door, then left my house in search of more supplies. Supplies in the form of a jerboa only to witness as a massive dodo wyvern flew past. I wanted one. It would be an incredible tame, but that is still a long way away. I continued to farm meat and hide from the local fauna, and with my loot I made myself a bed and a mortar and pestle. I also set up a campfire so that I could cook up some meat as I was starving. You see, in Ark, you have to manage a variety of stats to prevent death. Now that I wasn't dying in 5 seconds to a random dino, I actually had to start making sure those remained full as well. So I set up a chair while I roasted some food and laid my head to rest to end off the day. But the coming days were not going to be easy, as little did I know that there were deadly tames lurking in the area. I woke in the morning, and for the next few days I was actually streaming my playthrough in my Discord, so if you want to come hang out and meet some friends, join below using the link in the description. There may even be some events coming soon in 2025, so be sure to subscribe if you haven't already so you don't miss it. I learned the engrams for trank arrows and advanced trank arrows, and these would be necessary if I wanted to knock out some dinos to tame them. But if I wanted to make a crossbow to use them, or even some metal tools, well then first I needed to find a metal node. So thus, the new quest was decided as I set off in search.
Is that a metal node? I think that's a metal node. I kind of don't want to go close to the metal node anymore. It's on fire.
I decided I had to risk it for the metal, and ran up, smacked the rock till it broke apart, and fled the scene as explosions erupted all around me. I somehow survived making it back to my base with a fresh haul of metal, and it was there I unlocked the forge and smithy engrams, but while doing so, I spotted an unreal Dino right outside my window. I crouched down in hopes it would not see me while I crafted my forge, threw it down and placed in my metal to start smelting, but then while I was learning the engrams for tools, my worst nightmare happened.
No! Globert! No! Why me? No! Damn it, man! Not my house!
As I woke at my bed, it seemed they had lost interest, so I grabbed my stuff, threw it all in a tiny little mortar and pestle for safekeeping, as my chat told me I should try and lead the dialers away from my base.
Notice me. Notice me. Oh! Notice me! Okay, I don't think I'm getting very far away.
I ran back to my very damaged wooden hut. Hopefully nothing else decides to touch it. When I saw my metal had smelted enough that I was now able to craft and place down a smithy. With this, I could make some armor, tools, and some weapons. The first thing I made was a metal pickaxe, as this would be a huge efficiency increase over the stone pick I had been using. To make anything else, I needed more metal, so I went off in search.
Go this way towards the scary things over here instead. Maybe they're less scary than the scary things that I've already been seeing.
I did also have a quick look in my engrams and saw there was a potion called the Leave Me Alone potion. So that may be pretty useful, especially as I spotted the new scary thing.
Are you gonna explode? Meow. Whee. Bye.
I kept moving forward searching for my next metal node, only to spot a raptor as it spotted me.
Run. Flee. Break my legs. I'm dead. I'm dead. I'm so dead. No.
Fortunately for me, that was just a plain old raptor, so if I came back with a bow and spear, I could defend myself. Why did it bring them the first time? No idea. I've never claimed to be a good player at the game.
Professional. I've totally played this game before.
Well, never mind. I grabbed my spears and bowler to begin the retrieval of my singular metal pickaxe, and it was pretty uneventful seeing as the raptor had gone away. Grabbed my stuff, then chose to keep searching for the metal I desperately needed. Now as I made my way up the cliff, I saw something truly terrifying.
Oh, that's an indom. The pain. Hello, friend. Please don't hurt me. Is that like close to my house? Yes, there's my house over there. That's the end. I'm noticing a bit of a predicament with the area I have chosen to spawn in.
And all then I looked over and saw a Rex about to eat a parasol and thought I might get some loot.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Holy shit. Okay, that, do not f with the parasol is what I'm establishing here. Okay, I thought the Rex was scary. No, Globert! No, my house! My house got eaten. Parasol, go and kill the indom, please.
I think I need to find somewhere new to live. Not only was my home completely destroyed, pack of pegos tried to jump me in the early hours of day 5, leaving me to stab some of them with my spear after I'd bowled them. And with that problem dealt with, I kept moving on where I found a parasol, and upon closer inspection, it was an ordinary parasol, as in ordinary tier and not vanilla. A tame I was able to feed some measure berries and begin taming it, and thus I harvested up the nearby bushes. While being very aware that there was a really fast Rex nearby, I chose to focus on ensuring my parasol got the berries it needed, taming it up and giving it the most classic name of Perry the Parasol. There was also another interesting parasaur nearby.
Are you friendly? I mean, you're on fire and you're glowing purple. Surely that means friend, right? She's not a friend! He's not a friend! He was not friendly.
I got my stuff back before making a saddle for Perry, as I no longer wanted to be in this area. I also made a reusable parachute in hopes it saved me some time from death by falling, then saddled up Perry.
Here. Okay, let's go. Oh wow, you're nice and quick. Okay. Can you jump? And it can jump! Let's go!
I ran a long ways down the beach right up until I crashed. The most authentic of all Ark experiences. Loading back in, I had to resaddle Perry and set off again. Thankfully just a minor rollback, and with Perry now I sped off in search.
Cool. Can I find a decent spot with no scary things? That is the question. That is what I want right now.
Eventually I found what looked like an empty crystal beach across the water. So we swam across where I was able to gather more resources to begin rebuilding, choosing to ensure all my belongings were safe in a storage box to end off the day. And it was then day 6 when I was out again on Perry so that I could harvest some crystal nearby.
26, that should be enough for awesome spyglass. So at least I can see what kills me before it kills me.
I unlocked the engram once I got back, then crafted it up, and this is arguably the most powerful tool for surviving in overhaul mods, as it'll show you a ton of information about the dinosaur creature you're looking at, like its name, health, if it's tameable, and much more. It's not perfect, as Ark is a complicated game, but it's great most of the time.
I could probably take on that raptor. I feel like that's famous last words, but I could take it on. It looks like I won't have much of a choice, but let's go. Okay, this is not gonna work. I will die. Ah! Yeah, you stay over there. Well, that doesn't work. I was not paying enough attention.
Yeah, rip Perry. I probably shouldn't have been trying to eat some chips while playing the game. And it was a slow run and swim back to where I died, even finding Perry's bag having been eaten.
No, Perry. You are so young.
It started to get hot, causing me to overheat, as something I learned, this map of Forglar actually has dynamic seasons, so I was currently stuck in a heat wave. It even somewhat reminded me of when I played Once Human with my editor Grav, a video of mine I highly recommend checking out if you haven't already, as something to watch after this. While I was trying to cool down in the water though, a damn dolphin bit me, taking out a good chunk of my health, so I took my revenge by taking its life.
Stupid fish.
Now, it took a long time as the heat continued throughout the day, desperately working to keep myself alive, but finally, the heat wave broke. I was able to slowly recover my health and wanted to make some Descended tools, except some Ichthyornis had showed up looking to steal all of my stuff.
Oi! You stole my stuff. The punishment for you stealing my stuff is death. Hiya! Yeah, get rid. Oh, you summon more? That's illegal. I feel like that's very illegal.
I finished taking out the final birds as the sun started to set and ended off day 6. Now, I needed some more fiber to craft a new forge, and while I was out gathering, however, I spotted a metal node off in the distance. I made my way over to it before smashing it apart, spotting another that I also went to mine. But then as I was looking for more, I spotted some commotion.
That node is about to get rolled up on by the squad. Raphael, Donatello, and the boys all coming in for this dodo.
But enough of that entertainment, I ran back to base, threw in the metal to start smelting, and with it smelting, I also set up a bed and a Descended smithy. This structure is exactly what I needed to craft the majority of modded items I would be needing for my playthrough, including kibble and tools I'll be needing. I also had a ton of loot boxes which I'd collected from modded creatures dying around me. I was opening these for the Descended essence. I used it to craft a Descended pick, and it was a massive upgrade. Just look at all these resources! I wanted to make the rest of the set, except they weren't as cheap as a pickaxe. so it would take a bit longer till I got the final piece. I did spot in the distance a tame I wanted to go for, and a cute little baby Lystro. I just needed to take out the mama swimming around in the water so that I could claim it. I chose to name the baby Candy, who grew up so fast. But hey, no time to wait. I led Candy back to my wooden foundation, so I at least now had a new way to generate essence after the death of Glowbrit to that Indom. I then unlocked the engram for crossbow, what I needed to be able to fire those trank arrows, and I also had a look through all of the early engrams in hopes I'd spot something that could help. I also chose to make my very own chibi, and this is Lil Nat, and well, he thinks you should like the video. I had a look at Candy and saw that I needed to get her some food, and I found a descended dodo while I was out, which gave me a scare at first. I simply don't trust dodos anymore, choosing to bolo it and take it out before it could take me out instead. I then crafted myself my very first crossbow, and with this and my narcotic tipped arrows, I would be able to trank out some creatures in order to tame them. My first target was a level 92 Bob Dodo with 12.9k torpor. You'll be a good test to see how much torpor these arrows do. Not enough. That's not enough. We run. Hiding on top of a rock where I could see if the Bob Dodo wanted to find me. But thankfully it had no interest in coming for me. While on the rock, I was scanning for a new target to try and tame, instead spotting the corpse of an Unreal Raptor. Unreal Raptor, you're dead. So I definitely wanted to see if it had any loot and ran down and swam to it, but was disappointed when it had no loot to give. So I turned to head home when there was a descended dodo blocking my path. Now I thought it was aggressive, but by looking at my spyglass, I could see it was a passive tame. So surely that meant I could simply sneak up and feed it some berries in order to tame it. And success! It was so fast! A dodo of speed! So I named it Dart, and we set off together to see what else we could find. Stumbling upon another descended dodo, I tamed this one up and named it Dale, then led both back to base to where I set them up side by side, where they started making the beast with two backs. Once they're done, I had some baby dodos to claim, but something about them was strange. What the f is vampiric and quick hitting and whatever that you have? You don't have anything. You see, they have added traits to Ark. The same feature which Palworld has, where different creatures get different bonus stat buffs. It's actually a pretty interesting mechanic, and I set off on one of the babies, a dodo I had named Dolly, as I wanted to see if I could find a tame. I wanted a tame which could harvest berries, only to find my old base where there was nothing but the item caches from when the Indom had destroyed it. A harsh reminder that nowhere is ever truly safe. You can only hope it's safe enough. But I couldn't worry about that. I had to find a tame. We're searching for a tame, a herbivore tame, to put in our team. Ding, 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 ding. There's like no creatures in this area. Oh, I saw a health bar. I don't know if that's a good thing or not. Probably not. It's a Triceratops. An ancient Triceratops. I eventually found an ordinary trike, and I parked my dodo nearby before climbing on a rock myself to begin tranking out the trike. I took a few arrows, but it wasn't going to be so easy. No, not in the water! Get out of the water! Get out of the water, please! No! No! Why'd you have to go in the water, you stupid? You're not a fish! I did see in my engrams there was a taming potion which would drain the food of a wild creature, but I didn't have one. So the trike eventually drowned without taming up in time. And I decided to instead head home only to come across an ordinary equus with a baby. I bowled the adult and stabbed it with the spear and claimed the baby as my own, naming it Hoss. Hoss the horse, who was so speedy to run home on instead. Hoss was actually perfect, as Hoss could gather bushes for the berries I needed to make even more trank arrows. And with all the berries from Hoss, I was able to craft up a ton of trank arrows and spent more time just gathering even more berries, and I wanted a ton of tranks for taming, as soon I'd have to start taking on scarier dinos, like that. That is a flying shark. Yeah, definitely breaking the rules of nature out here, but I was having fun with Hoss. This is my Hoss. My Hoss is amazing. Give it a lick, it tastes just like raisin. I really didn't like that the sharks were coming out of the water and into the sky though. Go back to the ocean where you belong. Why can you fly? You're an abomination. Ignoring the flying fish freak for the moment, I wanted to expand my little crafting area. So using a descended sickle I had made, started to collect up some fiber, used it to craft up structures, all to set up a fairly large foundation platform. I wasn't going to try and build a house here, as I certainly did not feel safe in this area to set up any permanent roots here. For good reason too, since I loaded in on day 11, only to see every single one of my tames had died. Hoss, Candy, Dolly, Dell, and Dart, all of them dead. So I would have to start building up my army all over again. Starting with this ordinary Morellatops and a Moss Chops which insta-tamed. I named it Chopsticks, and a second Moss Chops I named Choppy. I didn't want to risk losing them, and that meant leaving them at my relatively unsafe base location. I can only hope that whatever killed my tames here while I was offline had since moved on. I ventured out to see what other tames I could find, and the first thing I found were a couple carbon hammers. I started to tame them, feeding them some measure berries, then left them to get hungry while I continued onwards. However, there was not too many tames. Instead, going to finish the ones I started. I tamed a Parasol which I chose to name Periwinkle, leaving him at base, and I finished up the tame of the Morellatops and named it Camel Toe. I crafted up the saddle for Camel Toe, then mounted so I could use it to gather some berries. I mainly wanted the seeds in order to begin growing crops, as I wanted to start gathering everything I needed to craft some excellent kibble. So that meant I needed citronelle, excellent essence, eggs, and a couple other ingredients. Most of which I already had ample access to, and I set up some more foundations for the extra floor space. I also had to gather some more resources which I used to build and place down large crop plots. In these, I'd be able to grow the crops I needed. As I was setting them up though, disaster struck. It was a massacre. The Unreal Dino held no mercy as it killed off my tames in an instant. I grabbed the berries from Camel Toe's death catch, no point in wasting their sacrifice. I was somewhat thankful that Chopsticks was a coward, who during the attack had fled and I had to chase down. Choppy had also fled, and I wanted to track her down only to bear witness to the Unreal Dino attempting to take out other wild dinos by spitting fireballs. I obviously chose to avoid that, instead sticking to the water until I found Choppy, and proceeded to lead her home peacefully, and I wanted no more casualties. There is one singular way to ensure a tame never dies. And no, it wasn't the stone gateways that I learned the engram of. It was the Dino Digitizer that I crafted. These are Dino Balls. They're essentially Pokeballs, as they will store your tames inside of them, ensuring no more wild dinos can show up and ruin your base, but it costs crystal. A lot of crystal. And I very quickly ran out. I ran out to go and harvest some more, filling my pockets. And also saw there was an excellent turtle here. This was technically the first tier of creature where I'd need modded kibble in order to tame it. And my theory was that I could get it from the corpses of excellent creatures. I jumped on its back and began to spear the beast until it knocked me off, and I sprinted away before I died, chucking my spears as it followed, leaping up the rock in hopes its lack of knees would stop it getting to me, and I was right. I started to hurl my spears at the turtle, setting it ablaze with each hit, and spear after spear was thrown in order to kill the beast, and I got a single excellent soul from its death. No essence, but better than nothing, I guess. The rest of the day was then simply spent collecting some resources and placing down a mortar and pestle. In the mortar, I started off day 14 by grinding together chitin and stone into a cementing paste. I used the paste to make myself a reusable grappling hook and crossbow. Then with the help of the hook, ran over to the lake where I was able to easily dive down and harvest the metal on the floor of the lake. Before pulling myself back to the surface so that I would not drown, I needed a new forge to smelt the metal after that Dilo had destroyed everything, and while I wasn't moving yet, I had decided I needed a flyer. Otherwise, no spot would ever be safe enough. I needed more stone as well, so was out gathering, and that's when I truly noticed. This map has some pretty unique features. You see, Forglar was massive, with a ton of unique biomes to explore, secrets to find, and dangers to defeat. With only 2 weeks down so far and not much progress made at all, there was a long way to go. Once my forge had smelted all the ingots, I wanted an upgrade. I wanted armor, a full set of flak armor. Now, since I needed a flyer, I decided to check out the nearby Pteranodons and saw this level 84 ordinary Pteranodon. I also saw it was a passive tame. I had the perfect idea on how to tame this. So running up, crossbow in hand, but I didn't have arrows loaded into this one. It was my grappling hook as I pulled myself right up to the feet of the terror in the sky to feed it some meat, almost taming it instantly. Most importantly, my grapple didn't disconnect as I now pretty much had a pteranodon kite as it flew up in the sky, eventually pulling me up too. I had my parachute and now I was parasailing by pteranodon power. It was amazing. It was only one more meat shoved up the terror's butt, taming it as my new friend, who I named Thomas. Now, I still needed a saddle as I did not feel like terrasailing across the whole map, then leapt on Thomas with my saddle and took to the skies. The power of flight was now mine. Thomas and I flew far and wide down the beaches. We found a small structure that had some lampposts that broke down for the resources, and our flight path continued further over the lands all the way to the edge of the desert. A truly nasty place with some incredibly strong dinos in it. None I wanted to mess with right now. I did try and take out a Bob Dodo here, but I started to lose the fight, so decided before I lost everything, I needed to retreat. I eventually ended up finding another ordinary pteranodon, and this one was a female. Now I knew I had to tame it so that I could start breeding backup pteranodons in case I was to lose any. Rule 7, don't use tames you aren't willing to lose. It was easy to tame her and I named her Tamantha. I flew Thomas and Tamantha back home where I sat them down next to each other, threw away any contraceptives and let them start to get going. I watched until the egg plopped out and I placed it in my depot terminal. It incubated until 1%. In order to get that final percent, I placed the egg by a campfire, resulting in a cute little baby pteranodon. 3 times. While I left them to grow up into dino balls, I chose to spend my time doing some gardening, placing feces into the crop plots to fertilize all of my seeds that I had planted. And while doing so, however, I spotted that unreal Dilo again. I could not afford another incident killing all my stuff. Tamantha, it's your time to shine, as I jumped on her back to try and lure the Dilo away from my base. My problem is the attacks kept missing, as creatures in this mod all have a ton of evasion. If only I could make an MKB, but I finally got its attention to lure it away. Then while doing so, I saw a level 92 Bob Dodo. It was a simple knockout tame and something I wanted to try and tame. With how much torpor it had though, it wasn't going to be easy. So I decided to do something that I never do. Like, it is unheard of, but it is by far the best idea for the situation. I began to build a trap. Yes, please hold your applause. And it was then easy to pick up the Dodo with Tamantha and drop it into the box. Many trank hours later, the Dodo passed out. I shoved my berries inside and the Bob Dodo was tamed. I chose to name him Carl Urban. So with that complete, thanks to the power of traps, I wanted to make mine even stronger by learning the stone tier of structures. In order to craft it though, I needed to get myself some stone. I instead decided to go see what was in my area, as it's always good to look around for tames that may be useful. So when I saw the Descended Gacha, a creature which usually can generate you infinite resources, I definitely wanted a modded one, as who knows what it may produce. I smashed apart some rocks to collect the stone that I needed to tame it, then threw it on the ground for the Gacha to have some normies, as that's how you tame these gentle giants. You just have to feed them. They're just like me. The Gacha eventually finished eating and it was tamed. I decided to name this Bish, and taking Bish home, I had a look at what you could produce, and it was some really good stuff like electronics, crystal, and even both types of pearls. A great tame to have indeed. I flew off again on Tamantha, only to end up in a fight with an excellent Dilo, which I barely killed in time before Tamantha fell asleep. So making the call to come back, pick up Bish's crystals she had produced, and then ended off the day with my sights set on what I needed to progress. There was an engram to make a tier 1 loot boss. Surely that is the next step in my progression. First though, I will need to get something that could actually fight a boss. So I crafted up some stone structures before jumping on Thomas to go and see what creatures with big teeth I could find. Instead finding the opposite, a descended little Dodo. It was a boss with a health bar at 5.4 million health. I don't think Thomas would stand a chance. choosing to fly off, traversing through multiple biomes, only to remember I'd forgotten something pretty important. I needed trank arrows. Thus, I was back to base to make the arrows I needed. And once the flight recommenced, I went a different direction. This time, there was a level 112 excellent Dodo Repo which tried to ground me, but I dodged out of the way and fled to a different spot instead. A spot that had a ringed yellow loot drop with some insane flak leggings in them, and a bunch of other junk that I don't care about. While skedaddling off with my loot, I saw a wyvern in the sky. Now, this truly interested me as it was listed as a passive tame. Big scary wyvern as a passive tame? One that didn't instantly attack my pteranodon either? Well, this is very interesting. It was a time for the classic strat of terra sailing as I jumped off midair, activating my chute, grappling to the terra and whistling it after the wyvern so I'd get close. I dropped the grapple from the terra, attaching myself to the wyvern and pulling myself closer and closer until I ended up on its back. And then, you have to be level 90 to feed this descended wyvern. I was level 85! So close and yet nothing. It was possible, as I had to watch as we flew around lying on the back of the wyvern, and thankfully I had the foresight to make Thomas follow me as I leaped off the wyvern's back to get back onto Thomas. The search for teeth continued, this time flying inland, where I found a level 92 descended griffin. I first made sure to lure all the nasty dilos off of the edge of the cliff. Then landing nearby the griffin, I wanted to set up a new trap, but needed some more resources. So crafting what I needed, I set up some dino gates, leaving a gap at the end slightly big enough for Thomas to fit through, but I had to hope the griffin couldn't escape. First step, aggro the griffin. Second, lure it into the cage, only to fail at step 3, placing the gate behind it as it flew straight out again. Alright, let's try again, shall we? Aggro, lure, and gate was already there. Nice and easy. A couple dozen trank arrows later and the griffin was asleep. To keep it safe, I lured the dilo nearby off the cliff as well, but it was starting to get hot. So I stripped all my flak armor off, making some cloth instead in hopes it'd cool me down, but to no luck. I had to flee, leaving the griffin to hopefully tame up safely on its own while I searched for a cooler area. So I flew off, leaving my trust that a griffin would just be left alone. So while I was exploring, and let me tell you, I thought the weird biomes looked awesome. I never explored this map at all when I picked it. I just had blind faith it would work out, and so far I was loving it. Seeing the weird and wonderful creatures around, plenty of unique areas, and even more I'll continue to explore throughout the 80 plus days still to go. Then while I explored, I found a bug. Not like a game bug, but a creature bug. A descended biotoxin bug. Now, something I hadn't mentioned I needed was biotoxin. You need that so you can craft the advanced trank arrows. I was miraculously lucky in that it landed right next to me on this rock, so I built the most awful trap you have ever seen, all to prevent it escaping so I could trank it out, except my crossbow broke. I tried to make a bow, but the arrows I had would not work in a bow, and I guess it's back to the truly primitive times as I made a club and started to beat the absolute snot out of the insect until it fell asleep. I fed it some berries, causing it to tame pretty quickly. I named it Cytovenom before flying back to where my griffin was taming up. It somehow had fallen through the cliff, ending up at the bottom, so now there was a bunch of raptors I had to take out before they hurt my griffin. I also had to feed it some of the biotoxin I'd gotten from Cytovenom so it would stay sleeping for longer. But finally, it tamed up and I named him Brian Griffin. Sorry Thomas, your services are no longer required, as Brian and I took to the skies, swooping through the air. Ooh, loot! Gracefully diving and flying the fastest I had ever gone, until I found what was to be my perfect base location. It was a small stone village with tall walls and plenty of space. It was perfect. I placed down a marker to name the spot as New Causes. All I needed to do now was transport all my stuff from the old spot to here. So that would be my next task as I flew home to begin preparing by packing up everything that was there. Transporting your entire life across the map is not easy or even safe. Going by land was a death wish. The ocean was full of deadly sharks, so all that was left was the sky. That's where these pteranodons come in. I maxed out their weight stats to ensure they could handle my load and transferred everything using my transfer tool, a handy little feature from one of the mods I was using, and now I was ready.
Okay, my ordinary pteranodons. It's time we take flight. We have a long journey ahead of us, but as long as we stick together, we can only hope we don't encounter anything dangerous. To the skies!
And after a flight that could not have gone better, we arrived safely at the promised lands of new causes. This was to be our home for the remaining 80 days, our base of operations as we tame, plan and prepare to take on the final boss. There was even a loot drop here to claim. This base had clearly been blessed by the Ark gods. I started to set up my foundations, including building my farm on the ceiling. The only problem with this base spot, I was not close to water for my farm, so I would have to bring the water to me. Now in order to bring the water, I would need to run water tanks from the ocean all the way to this spot. And this was actually a massive task and took almost the entire day. But we'll just quickly throw down all the water tanks and voila! We have water. I set up my tames so that they could continue generating the relevant resources from each of them, then ended the day setting down my forges and smithy. And now that I was settled in, the next step on my mind was progression. So I'd been looking through my engrams and saw something about challenging the excellent essence, which is exactly what I needed if I wanted to make excellent kibble. But this was a boss summon token. I didn't have a boss fight tame like Gigas or even Rexes. What I did have was my Griffin. Usually I would not recommend using a tame you only have one of, but sometimes you may as well f*** around and find out. Munching on the summoner, a glowing orb appeared in front of me. What came out of it? The excellent essence dodo. With 100,000 health, I swooped in only to miss my first attack. But the second one hit, dealing 1,000 damage. Only 99,000 to go as I started the graceful act of diving in and diving out. It was a ballerina act, but if I slipped up once, then I was pretty sure that dodo would one-shot me. I took my time, even resting for stamina when it wasn't needed, swooping in to smack when it wasn't, and as I brought it down to 75,000 health, it changed.
It's doing something. Excellent power. I don't trust it. I don't want to get close to it. Excellent power. That's even scary.
Whatever it was, I did not want to get close, waiting it out so I could continue my ballerina act, and it took 75 more swoops and 2 more waiting periods of excellent power until I was able to smack the dodo and kill it.
And the one final swipe. Excellent dodo. Passive.
I also got some armor rewards, but this dodo was the most important one. I picked berries off the bushes nearby, shoving the berries up the dodo's esophagus, but decided I should probably not hang around in the open.
You know what, just for safety, I'm going to grab you and let's take you back to base.
At home, it took one final berry to tame, then rode it inside my house alongside Carl. This is how I figured out Carl, my Bob Dodo, was actively taking the resources out of my excellent Dodo's inventory. So I now had free generation of excellent essence and rare flowers. This was truly excellent. I crack myself up sometimes. And with all this essence, that was the final ingredient I needed to make the excellent kibble. 4 whole pieces of it. I now had the power to tame excellent dinos. Now though, it was time to search and hopped on Brian, and the first creature I found that piqued my interest wasn't an excellent. It was a plain old vanilla alpha raptor that I killed for the experience. And then at the very end of the day, after way too much flying, I found a pair of excellent pteranodons. You two would be my first. I started with the female firing arrows, hoping to get headshots as she fought back, attacking me. They were too strong to be bowled, but I was persistent with my shots, managing to knock her out of the sky and shove in the kibble. Next up was the male, but he wasn't going to be so easy, as when his torpor got low, he fled over the cliffs, vanishing from my sight. The fact that a descended little dodo boss was nearby didn't help, and then when I did find the male terror who had flown over and fallen into the water when he knocked out, I knew he was done for. I still had no taming potion, so he was left to slowly drown, as I flew back to the female whose timing to wake up was basically perfect. I named her Terrific, trapped her up, then set off to see if I could find a new male, only to find another creature I wanted, a creature with teeth, an excellent Rex. I didn't expect that roar to knock me straight out of the sky.
Oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. What the f happened? Okay, clearly the Rex roar grounds you, I guess?
I retreated home with my tail tucked between my legs so that I could heal up and even make some better trank arrows. Now, in order to make better trank arrows, I needed polymer. So I decided to fly off and see if I could find a snowy area to club some penguins.
This map has some cool areas, not gonna lie. Dwagon! Another dwagon! Lots of dragons! Oh shit, there's so many dragons. Oh my god, I am in Mordor!
And it took until I flew to the complete other side of the map, where I found the snow biome.
Freezing. -46! Holy shit, I got 670 coal resist!
The timer was on. I had to find and slaughter the penguins before freezing to death, and I found a group on a giant iceberg and began to kill every single one. Not just the men, but the women and the children too. My health was getting low though. I had to fly as fast as I could to escape the snow, making it out with only a sliver of health remaining. And it was a terrifying flight back. If something was to even sneeze on me, I would die. So when I spotted a loot drop that looked like it had some pretty good stuff, and then looking at the drakes and capras in the area, I made the call to leave it. I had to make a pit stop on a small plateau to regain stamina, and there were some resources here.
Look like a fancy rock. Oil! Merca! Yeah! Merca!
And since I was already here, I made myself a nice fire and a chair, simply enjoying the moment I was in. Something I highly recommend, as that's my #1 rule after all, to have fun. Otherwise, why bother? I cleaned up my campsite before finishing up the journey home safe and sound, and I was short some narco berries to make the advanced trank arrows. But I still had Choppy, who was able to help me out gathering a ton of bushes for the berries, and with them brought back, I crafted up a few of the improved trank arrows. These would be the best tranks I could make until the Descended fabricated rifle. To make that, however, I needed ancient bones. So yeah, that was still a long ways away. I made a Descended preserving bin to start turning my cooked meat into jerky, since you need jerky for most of the types of kibble, and then to supply the preserving bin, set up campfires to start cooking a ton of meat while I harvested flint and stone for spark powder. I hoped soon I'd be able to tame a Doed and Anki to increase how quickly I could get these. And for now though, manual work was best work, as I could start crafting the spark powder. I then threw in everything I needed to make the jerky in the preserving bin, and voila! Tasty cooked meat jerky. Gordon Ramsay would be so proud. I got the crops from my farm, and with all this made some more excellent kibble, so Brian and I could fly off in search of more excellent creatures to tame. One of which I'd seen a lot and had no idea if it was good or not was the excellent gas bags. So as I fired my arrows just to see, they had basically no effect. So I gave up, instead taming another gacha that I trapped immediately. And now there are some other interesting creatures in the area like this Doedicurus, but when I saw this level 120 Descended Dodo Wyvern that was a passive tame, I instantly knew that is what I wanted.
You say passive. Huh. Can I? Is this a good idea? Do I go for it?
And I threw out my chute before firing grapples until I attached to it, pulling myself all the way into it until I could feed it the kibble.
Ah! Well, that's an upgrade. I am going to name the Dodo Wyvern Doris.
and with the ability to shoot fire, lightning, and poison attacks, Doris was going to be an incredibly powerful upgrade. I trapped up Brian nearby as I wanted to test Doris out, and it was time for a murdering spree.
You come after me in the sky! Flee from the scary swimming shark!
Know your limits. There's no need to take unnecessary risks. I moved on to other targets like this excellent Bronto, only to sit and watch as a Tokyo drifted away from me all super speedy like. And eventually I brought Doris home where I made sure to get a good look at her, even taking a sneak peek that I showed off to everyone who was subscribed and saw my community post. Then I also wanted to check out the other tame I'd gotten, my second Descended gacha.
You can make what?
A gacha that could produce Unreal Essence for me. Now this was a discovery, as I don't need Unreal Essence for Unreal Kibble, but I needed it to make Divine, Devilish, and even Spectral Kibble, some of the strongest tiers of dinos you can get without evolutions. Now that I was getting that essence from gachas, I just had to figure out how to get to those tiers. So I flew out with Doris hoping to find her a male friend, but I instead found an alpha Dodorexy. And curiosity got the better of me as I spat a poison ball at it.
Yo, millions might be a bit much to kill.
The flame Dodorexia, however, 106k, I could do that. And do it as what I did as Doris and I started to pelt the Dodorexia with poison balls, dodging its fire attacks and resting for stamina when it was needed. And it took some time, but I managed to defeat it and receive an excellent boss soul. This will be used later when I start to make excellent boss kibble, and I kept flying onwards into the desert as I was curious what creatures were here.
Abyssal Carcharodontosaurus. Oh! Okay, that's cool. I want it. I want it. Yeah, I was thinking I was cool with my Dodo Ivan. I am not cool yet.
The desert was infested. There were so many scary creatures in here and nothing I was ready to deal with yet as I flew over it high in the sky for my safety. So for now, with my curiosity quenched, I flew back to base as I remembered an engram I had learned many days ago. An engram for the tier 1 loot boss. With Doris, I had faith I could take it down as I summoned it in.
Oh, but you're a dimorph, so you can fly.
Let's take you down. I began to try and burn it alive and flee when I needed its stamina. It wasn't going to be so easy though.
Oh, but you regen so quickly.
If I wanted to kill this thing, I would have to do it on the ground.
And I stopped missing all these attacks.
I was relieved when the dimorph did not do a ton of damage, but with its high regen and massive amounts of evasion, the fight took forever until finally in the wee hours of day 29, it was dead.
Okay, veggie cakes, artifacts. It's kinda worth it.
And Doris was pretty hurt, however. Thus, I needed to kill some nearby creatures, as when she halves a corpse, she gets rapid regeneration. But for the rest of the day, I chose to head home where I checked out some of the health potions available to me. And most of them were too expensive to craft, but I did manage to craft just a couple of the most basic ones which would heal an entire 1% of my dino's health. It's not much, but that's what I've got. I cracked open all of my gacha crystals the next day, as Bish and Bosch, which is what I'd name my other one, had been passively creating these for me. To feed them, however, I needed stone. To tame a third one, use that same stone. I was hoping to find what else these gachas could produce, and this one I named Bush before returning home to base, where I replaced my gacha Bish with Bush to produce me metal and crystal. And I also made a saddle for Terrific, my excellent Pteranodon, as I was curious how fast she was, using her to do a polymer run, but I didn't take out the children this time. I instead claimed them all as my own, as if I started breeding the penguins, I'd have an unlimited supply of polymer just waiting for me to produce. I would only set up this farm up later, however, when I desperately needed it. I started out in the morning with crafting up some boss summons. Just a loot boss anyways. I can't claim the fight was any easier than last time, but when I knew what to do already, we burnt it to a crisp the same as we had before. And with the dimorph deleted, I took the rewards home as I still wanted some stronger, excellent creatures. But since I did not have any creature finder mods, nor did I want to look anything up, I didn't know what I was actually looking for. So when I found this stretch of beach that seemed to have a lot of commotion going on, I stopped on a rock nearby to scope out what I could with my spyglass. And nothing immediately caught my eye as something I could tame. On the next island, however, I spotted something I thought I could kill. The ancient Stegosaurus. I began to lob poison balls at it, but it dealt so much thorns damage. I turned my attention to taking down the excellent broodmother instead, and the brood ran away. I could no longer hit it. I needed a bigger target. An excellent titanosaur. Well, that is a pretty big target. It also ran away. Why would these dinos just sit back and let me kill them? Feeling discouraged, I chose to keep moving straight through Mordor and towards the snow, only to remember how cold it was. So I flew to the swamp where I saw a poison drake. Now, I noticed something very peculiar. The drake appeared to be doing thousands of torpor to whatever it was fighting. Now I could barely do thousands with my crossbow. So in order to tame the drake though, I would need excellent boss kibble, and I did not have that yet. You see, in order to make excellent boss kibble, I needed unreal kibble. To make unreal kibble, I still had to defeat the unreal essence boss. A boss I needed descended milk in order to summon. And that was why I was actually out searching today. I wanted a descended mammal. That's why when I found this excellent Paraceratherium, I wanted to tame it as I thought I could get some milk from it. And once it was tranked and tamed, my good friend Chromida told me to name it Caballo Pola. He said it's a great name for my parasaur when I asked him to translate it for me. My Spanish viewers in the audience can let me know if they think it's a good name or not. I brought Caballo home where I set her up in hopes she'd start generating me some milk, but I'll admit to you, I didn't realize at the time she was an excellent tier and not a descended tier. I needed a descended milk, so presumably a descended mammal, but I figured this out pretty soon. In the morning, I was doing my daily chores, collecting Cytovenom's biotoxin, crafting up more arrows, and even narcotics, only to find a Triceratops had wandered into my base. At least it was just a trike. It would be a nightmare if a stronger creature had found my spot. Now, during the entire time I'd been at base, I never got milk once from my Caballo Pola, so I needed a new mammal if I had any hope of progressing to the Unreal tier. I flew out on Doris in search while also keeping my eyes open for any excellent creatures, and I could not find anything during my flight. So I opened up my map to check out if there was any major areas I'd missed, but it was only the swamp and volcano area that was left blacked out. Neither place I thought would have what I was seeking, and my only idea was to check the starter areas again, where I found a dodo terrorizing a poor bob pig baby which I saved and claimed. It was a male, so wasn't too certain if I'd want any of the milk it produces, even if it can, so trapped him in a ball until I could get him home, then made the call that I needed fresh spawns, which meant I needed to clear out the old ones by rampaging through the beach. Except the Microraptor put that damage train on pause when it knocked me off. I was glad Doris liked me enough to save me long enough to get back onto her. Once I was up, I saw there was an Unreal Pteranodon, and I hadn't killed an Unreal before, so I flew backwards while torching its face until it died. Alas, I got no new resources, even when eating the corpse. I got home in the morning where I threw out Bob to see what he could generate, but needed that descended milk. I decided to go and try to find a female Bob, which I did after around half a day of flying, and once I tamed her up, I named her Bobette and began my journey home. Except I didn't make it all the way there, as an excellent broodmother was here. Now I saw this as a chance for another easy excellent boss soul since I'd be needing them eventually, and thus the poison pelting practice pursued. When I flew to the other side to get closer, a damn Microraptor stunned me off of Doris, landing in the paws of a sabertooth. I ran as fast as I could to get out my grapple and pull myself to safety, and that could have gone terribly. I finished off the Australian spider, then flew home with a slightly elevated heart rate, and had a look in Carl's inventory and found that my male Bob was actually producing milk. Where it was coming from, I had no idea, but I now had the final ingredient I needed to make the Unreal Boss Summoner. I set up my extra bobs to make more milk, and with how many dinos I was starting to get, set up a gate on the entrance of my building for extra safety. I had to open some loot boxes for the resources that they gave, so now I had everything to craft the Unreal Element Summoner. I still didn't have an army I could use, or even a tame with big teeth, but I had faith my dodo wyvern would be enough. Then went out and summoned the Unreal Element. It only had 112k health, but if you recall, Unreals have insane amounts of evasion, as well as health regeneration. My poison balls felt like they did nothing, I needed to get closer to try and use my fire attack. I landed on the rock down below where it still could not reach me and switched to fire. Through the full combination of fire, lightning, and poison, I finally killed the Unreal element and unlocked the engram to make Unreal Kibble. This was a huge step in the right direction. Then, as I turned to flight space, I spotted an ancient trike that had set up right next to my walls. I needed to get it away, managing to lure it off the cliff. I also wanted to see if my Dodo Wyvern could actually take it out, but the thorns damage. The thorns hurt so much from the poison attack, and with how much more health it had than me, this would not work. I had to do some crafting before I had what I needed to make my first piece of Unreal Kibble, and I was pretty damn stoked. Unreal Dinos were so strong and would almost certainly be a huge upgrade if I can tame one. But in crafting the kibble, I found myself running low on crops and wanted to set up compost bins to create some fertilizer, since plain feces was not cutting it anymore. But to place the compost bins, I needed some more floor space, as I never actually fully filled out this house with foundations. But I made enough space to place down the bins and also set up additional crop plots. I then learned the engram for a shovel, which I crafted, as using this shovel I can till the soil of the plots, which will enhance the amount of crops that I receive from my plots. From all this work, I made up another piece of Unreal Kibble before deciding to look at what I needed for the excellent boss tier of Kibble. As while Unreals were strong, excellent bosses were even stronger. And it's always good to know what your next move is, but this was interesting to me. The only thing I was lacking was honey. And no, not that scammy Google extension, giant bee honey. Looking through my engrams, I could just build my own hive. I just needed more cementing paste, which meant I needed more chitin. And the grind for resources is inevitable in mods like this. Let's go, Doris, time to find some bugs. And we searched for so damn long, killing a couple along the way for their chitin, and it was only when I spotted another gacha that I'd hope I could produce some cementing paste. But Besh had nothing of use for me to produce. While leaving though, there was another tame here that I'd wanted. A very handsome, level 100 Dodo Wyvern. I grappled down to him, ending up on his back, fed him my kibble, taming up Dale, Doris's new special friend. I flew Doris and Dale home where I could land them next to each other, enabled breeding on them both as Papa Nat wanted some baby Dodo Wyverns. And since my flyer was busy, I chose to spend my time harvesting stone for the day, using Brian as a pack mule to carry all of the stone up until it was time to collect the eggs from Doris. I wasn't done, however. I wanted multiple eggs, as when you breed an Ark, different creatures have different stat values. You can see most of these thanks to the spyglass, and now when you breed two creatures, the baby will get stats from the parents. So I wanted to ensure I got a baby with the best stats from both parents. That meant it would take some time while they generated me eggs. In the meantime, I made up the cementing paste I needed to make the beehive, then ran over to check up on Doris.
We're getting lots of Dodo Wyvern.
I don't even know either. In order to hatch up the wyvern eggs to start checking their stats, I first made a fabricator which I could use to make a generator for power and some air conditioners. The air cons would incubate the eggs so that I could hatch them much faster, and it felt good that the electrical age was here. I picked out a male Dodo Wyvern which had the high melee and health stat, then threw it out once it was fully grown. I named him Draco, and it felt good to now have a permanent supply of Dodo Wyverns. I set up my beehive the next day, only to have the bees instantly swarm me when I got too close. Maybe placing this in my crafting area was not such a great idea. So I picked it up with my demo gun, only to have a giant queen bee get left behind. Easy beehive dupe, I guess. I moved up to the ceiling where I set up the beehives instead and accidentally died to them. But they were up and running now, making me that honey. So I set off on Brian when right outside my base I found an ordinary dung beetle. This little guy would actually be incredibly useful as he could create fertilizer for me, so I tamed him. He also had a friend. I tamed him as well, naming him the Big Pooper, and I left them at the base and decided that I needed to do some leveling on Draco. That just meant I had to go find some creatures to kill. Now this massacre continued for a while when I saw some divine Spinos. I spat my poison balls at it, gradually whittling its health lower and lower and lower. Being patient when it ran as it always came back, until when the sun was rising the next day, I killed it. I decided to take out a second one for its souls as well, using my high top perch to attack everything I could, even hitting a divine thorny dragon. Huh. Maybe I'm not so safe up here. I feel like I should just skedaddle a little bit. Oh, what are you? Devilish. Oh, let's get the f out of here. Oh, Descended. I would like you. The devilish fell to the floor, freeing me to tame and claim the two dodes here. I named them Roly and Poly, as they are going to be amazing for gathering stone. And with 2 new balls tamed, I wanted to keep farming the divines. When I saw there was an ancient stego in the midst, thought it was best to vacate the premises and pick a different rock. All these divines, but how far away was divine kibble? Oh, I could make divine kibble, because I got divine souls. I got 2. I have enough. But how the flip am I meant to do that much torpor? I don't understand it. I don't know how to do this. I would need to make some discoveries, and either find a way to craft that Descended fabricated sniper, but I needed to kill an ancient for that, or I'll need to get a tame that is able to deal torpor. Arriving home, I made a saddle for Roly so that I could gather the stone I needed for spark powder to make gunpowder. Only to find another biotoxin jug bug that I tranked and tamed. I continued to get stoned as Roly was great at gathering it. I still needed to at some point get myself an Anki though, as well as a tame for wood. At home I crafted up some things I needed for a trap, since during my stone session I'd seen a Therizino and they're amazing for wood. I just needed to trap it. Silly me did not realize that Theries could fit straight through Dino gates, so a different trap was required. One I set up on the ridge nearby, and it was then easy enough to pick up the Theory and drop it in the trap. Traps seem really powerful. I should definitely use these more often. Once the Theory was sleeping, I shoved in my kibble and left it to tame peacefully, but it was taking too long. So I fed it a taming potion that drained all of its food and causing it to tame instantly. I named him Edward, trapped him in a ball, made him a saddle, and began to gather thousands of wood. I now had a way to get tons of stone and wood. All that's left is an Anki for flint, and my resources should be good to go for the rest of the playthrough, as long as I keep them alive. I topped up my gachas with stone to ensure they kept generating me resources, then set up foundations for the rest of the room, stocked up my preserving bin, and placed my final foundation, completing an actual floor in my claimed house. I also set up some extra storage from a cool little mod called Visual Storage, so I now at a glance would be able to see what of the basic resources I was ever running low on. Enough base work, I wanted to see what I could find and tame, especially now that I had access to excellent boss kibble. The first tame that fit that kibble was this level 88 Dodorexy. Now, it had over 70,000 torpor, and likely could deal some pretty big damage. That meant I needed to trap it, and well, there's probably an easier way to do this, but I decided to try and place the gates I had right on top of it. And I tried, and tried, and tried. Just sit still and let me try to trap you. It's mostly stuck. Ow. Can you get out? I don't know if you can get out. I can't just get rid of this tree. Thank you. Nope. Clearly I was wrong. I was close though. Okay, you're looking pretty stuck now. And with the sparky chicken trapped, I landed on the cliffs nearby, finding a spot where I could shoot at it to begin tranking it out.
It's got a ranged attack. So let's just, you know, it didn't kill me, so it can't be that strong. So I won't lose my Griffin, who has a lot more health than I do.
I kept up my tranking but ran out of my advanced arrows, so switched to the weaker ones I had, but this slowed the torpor increase, which meant the Dodo Rex had time for its attacks to come off cooldown.
Ouchie. Yep. We leave. We flee.
I flew home in order to make more better tranks, repair all of my gear, make the boss kibble, and then flew back. I was also then the luckiest unlucky guy ever though, as the original Dodorexia I wanted to tame was gone. A max level had spawned in its place. I took my time to force feed meat down Brian's throat in order to heal him up a little bit, then started the circus of trying to trap the newcomer.
I think you're free. Oh, no. Yes, no, maybe. Yep. He squeezed through the gap.
I didn't end up getting nipped by the Dodorexy, but just had enough health to prevent death. I really should just build a proper trap and lead it in, but this is so much more fun! I tried a couple more times to trap the stupid bird, but it was hopeless. So I resorted to gathering more resources to start building a proper, more effective trap. I started to build up a stone 2x2 box, and that's when I noticed an even better potential friend.
There's an Indom instead. Why stop at the Dodorexy when I can go for the Indom?
I was going to need a bigger trap though. I upgraded my box to a 3x3 and began to set up the ramps to get it into the trap, and with it prep began the task of lure Indom into trap. It did not go well.
My god. Just stop going so far away, you stupid Indom. No, you fell in the... Ah, yeah.
Breathe, Nat. Breathe. Took another attempt, and this time I was able to lead it straight into the trap and turned to watch in horror as it ate it. And, well, then it turned its attention to its next meal. Me.
Ah! No! Brian, no! I'm a little mad at that one.
I hopped onto Terrific to fly back where the Indom was waiting for me.
Get off the ledge.
And the Indom eventually moved off the ledge, freeing me to safely land where Brian had lost his life. I wasn't safe, as some random Dimorphs just would not leave me alone. Terrific was able to keep me safe as we spun to take them out, and I collected my belongings, but I would not be able to trap the Indom without metal structures. So I flew home to see if I was able to craft any. And at home, I had an idea. I made myself a few metal gateways and a large bear trap. If I could trap a bear, it could trap an Indom. I then repaired my armor, not that any of it ever actually saved me, then flew back on Draco to find the Indom once again, but it had vanished. Now I hadn't run a Dino wipe or anything, so wasn't sure if it was some anti-overspawn mechanic from the map or even mod, but I would need to find a new one. One place I knew had them was the desert, and I never found a single one though. I did find something else.
Giganotosaurus 8. You've only got 190k health.
And it took a couple of decent pot shots till the Giga went down, and I got 50 elements in the tech ram for the egg incubator. Not amazing rewards, but I wasn't sure what I expected. I continued searching throughout the rest of the day, even ending up at the volcanic biome where I watched an abyssal Indominus Rex decimate the creatures around it. Slightly out of my target to tame range, and there wasn't anything else in the volcanic biome that I could possibly hope to tame, and I'll admit, I was getting pretty frustrated. I just wanted to find and tame something. Anything.
I've been flying around forever. Give me tames. Give me a descended Indominus Rex. I want one.
I was stuck. I needed to progress, but did not exactly know how.
I have to start killing ancients. I know that much for sure.
So when I found this ancient trike, I thought, why not? Why not try kill it again? But this time, I used my fire breath, a much stronger attack than the poison, and yet the amount of thorns damage was the same. If my math was correct, I could kill this before Draco died. So I started to burn it alive as its health just barely dropped faster than Draco's. I even force-fed Draco meat to try and tip the odds in my favor, and it worked.
And one more bite. Nice. 160 ancient deserts. Let's go. How much did I need for the fabricated sniper? 150. We can make one. Let's go.
Just what I needed.
I should have just done that sooner.
Such is the pain of playing these massive overhaul mods completely blind. I knew I was behind in progress if I wanted to beat the entire mod in the 100 days I was given, but I now had a direction. I now had to deal more torpor to tame even stronger creatures. From all my crafting, my supply of cementing paste had run dry, so I wasn't able to craft the sniper rifle, and guess we're gonna go find some bugs, turtles, and whatever else gives chitin, chitin, and keratin. I had a look in the water to see if there are any trilobites, as that'd be the easiest option for a lot, but for some reason, the entire coastline was desolate of any trilobites. I don't know if Nettie had placed them all in a sanctuary or something, but they were gone. And it wasn't until the next morning where I dived down to the bottom of the freaking ocean and fished a trilobite off the floor with my grapple that I was then able to beat with my pickaxe and gather the thousands of chitin. I should have just gone to the desert and taken out some mantis or something, but for some reason I had thought finding trilobites was the correct call. I just didn't expect it to take as long as it did, that I was exhausted after a single kill and headed home. There was enough chitin to make enough cementing paste to finally craft what I had wanted for days. The Descended fabricated sniper rifle. All I needed now was to make some bullets, which turned out to be pretty damn expensive as I needed an abundant supply of metal, gunpowder, narcotics, essences, and polymer. It was not going to be cheap, but it was a massive upgrade. While I was crafting the ingredients, however, I noticed damage numbers inside my base. I ran into action jumping on Draco as the Descended Managana was attacking, but as I was about to start taking it out, it just vanished. If I hadn't seen it on camera, I would have thought I'd imagined the attack, as it hadn't even killed anything. Now, this should have concerned me more than it did. How did it spawn in my base? Could anything else spawn? Was I still safe? I could have asked myself these questions, but I didn't. Instead, going back to continue crafting the final ingredients I needed, then ended the day taking out a broodmother nearby for more chitin. I suppose that was another option I could have done instead of the trilobites. And with the spider from Australia sent back where it came from, I used my pick to gather up the flint from these rocks, as in the coming days, I was going to need a lot of it to make spark powder to make gunpowder. So if I see an Anki to tame, that'd be a massive help. I found one of my biotoxin bugs out in the field, and I'm guessing it ran out after the mana attack, and I trapped it to bring it home. As back at home, I used up all the flint I'd gathered to make more spark powder and gunpowder, but I still just felt stuck in progress. I remembered to finally name my tribe. Then after some long resource grinds and crafts, I did it. I made my first batch of the trank bullets. It was only 4 to start, but over the next few days, I could definitely ramp up production. I set up an upgrade station, which is an incredibly overpowered mod, but one that I nerfed with my INI settings. You see, you can sacrifice resources to make your weapons, armor, and saddles stronger. The costs, however, they ramp up pretty quick. However, for the moment, I wanted to test my new trank gun, and the divine Serato I spotted on the plains outside my base would be the perfect test. In case I do manage to knock it out, I use the divine souls I had gotten a few days ago to craft up some kibble for it, as getting a divine would be absolutely huge. I could only make one piece, unfortunately, as I needed more Unreal Essence, a resource I had forgotten how to get, and when making my way back out, there was a Descended griffin flying about. Since I'd lost Brian, I chose to trank this one out, putting it down in 4 shots. And that's some good torpor right there. I left her to tame while I flew off to see if I could get some more Unreal Essence, and I tried killing the Unreal Element boss. That didn't work. I killed an Unreal Terror. That didn't work either. And while I kept racking my brain, my griffin did end up taming. I chose to name her Meg, then also had a scan through my engrams again. I unlocked most of the Arkomatic stuff in hopes it helped me automate some crafting later, then saw I'd gotten an Ascended Descended sniper blueprint.
That's so expensive.
I then had a thought and checked my gacha Bosch to see that he was how I'd got my Unreal Essence. I left him to work on that while I set up an Arkomatic composite crafter. And this is basically a faster chemistry bench, so I could craft hundreds of narcotics very quickly. It was expensive to make, but oh so worth the time save, as I made myself a couple dozen trank bullets. And with my arsenal fully equipped, I was going to go back to that divine Serato, instead deciding to see if I could find an Unreal tier creature to tame to generate me even more essence. I quickly found an Unreal Terror, potting one shot to its head, causing it to fly off and fall asleep. In went the kibble and tamed the Terror.
Oh. Hopefully you can generate me essence, but don't have to use my gachas.
I brought it home where I began to wait anxiously to see if my theory was correct. And there, did you catch that? I checked Carl's inventory to see if I was right, and I was.
Hey, let's go. We're producing an Unreal Essence, baby!
I now had a tame passively creating me the unreal essence I had so desperately needed. Aside from the gacha, of course.
Okay, I don't have enough unreal essence yet, but I can make the man cable soon. Cable.
That just left flying off to see if that Serato was still there.
God damn it, why do I keep finding devilish and no divines?
It was gone, and so was the time in the day. Day 50. 50%. Halfway, and I still did not know what my exact way to progress was. This mod, while I've had a ton of fun, I was still confused. I was out exploring, looking for divines, instead finding a poison drake. Now, remember when I'd seen one so many days ago? I forgot all about these. From my griffin, I was able to fire 6 shots tranking it out, and feeding it kibble to tame it instantly thanks to the help of a potion. Named it Drakon and hopped on to see if my theory was correct.
You do, Torpor, yes. You've been hiding. And now when I stop looking, I find you. I no longer need you. You're weak. I got a dragon.
I chose to test a torpor dealt on an excellent Titanosaur,
You
and
don't
the
do
poison
much
drake was
damage.
kind of insane. It dealt similar amounts of torpor to my sniper rifle, and for free at that. I flew home with Drakon to find the mana from earlier was back, but trapped. I tranked it out with Drakon, then killed it with Draco, and I was feeling pretty good about myself.
Wacken. That dragon. Rawr.
And since I'd been away from base for a bit, I had the unreal essence I needed to make another piece of the divine kibble. Surely this would be enough to tame a powerful divine. Now I had to find one. For once it did not take long as I quickly found a level 108 divine Serato. This was my chance to get the most powerful tame I had ever had, and Drakon was the key. As it took many attacks from Drakon until the Serato had enough torpor that I was able to do the final sliver with my rifle to ensure maximum taming effectiveness. I was patient to slowly fly down and ensure there was nothing of danger nearby. Feeding it kibble to the sounds of explosions around me, I needed to get out of here ASAP as I trapped the Serato.
Get the heck out of here before that alpha deterrency kills me.
Flying home, I was ecstatic. I was so excited to test out the Serato, only to go and craft the saddle and find I was short of the resources.
I need another divine soul before I can ride it. No.
I named my Serato Saint Seratu, but I was disappointed.
I can't even ride you yet. I have to go kill another divine.
I was excited and nervous as I flew off to find the divine I needed. I knew exactly the spot I wanted to check out, the island where I'd first killed a divine, and it paid off. There was a divine Spino that began to poison Spit to death, taking it out quickly and efficiently for its soul, and I had a thought that the hide was likely to become a pretty necessary resource, so I made sure to harvest a corpse of the Spino with my hatchet for the maximum amount. And there was a second Spino on the same island that I took out the same way as the first. I also took out a spider, then started on the third divine Spino. This is great! I would be needing these souls going forwards. Harvesting the corpses, however, was ruined by another Spino that didn't like me killing his friends. With the souls collected, I started my flight home, stopping to grab a loot drop with some cool pants and an excellent Serrazino that I dropped in my trap. I tranked it, tamed it, and named it Ladron de Polas. Another beautiful suggestion from Crow, and then also tranked an excellent Thorny just because I could. Then into the base I went, and out came with the divine Ceratosaurus saddle. Saint Seratu, let's go and see what you can do. Ooh, the Thorny tamed up. I'll name you Thor. This Serato was amazing. being able to take out that unreal shark which had haunted me from the earliest days of the playthrough, then even killing the devilish phoenix like it was nothing. My power level had spiked massively. This was my ticket. My ticket to progress in this mod. I have to make sure I don't lose this Serato to some random bull. I would need to get him a mate. I slid my way into base parking, throwing Serato safely inside while I went in to do some crafting. I kept having a shortage of spark powder, and I'll admit, I was getting annoyed by it. So using Meg, I initiated my quest for spark powder tame. Specifically, an Anki. I instead found an excellent Karchar that I wanted to try and trank out. I get distracted pretty easily, what can I say? I ran out of tranks before I put the Karch to sleep, quickly zipped back to base where I made more bullets. However, I was short some narcotics, so jumped on Ladron de Bolas to gather narcos, looked up, and then saw there was a minor Anki right there. I faded a kibble and named him Kylo Ren. Guess all I had to do to get the Anki I wanted was try and tame a Karch instead of searching for the Anki you actually want. Now that I had the Anki, I could just fly back to the Redwoods and continue tranking the Karchar that I had totally not forgotten about when I saw the Anki I tamed. I chose to start tranking with Drakon due to how expensive the tranks were, and once it got to almost knocked out, however, I switched to my rifle and continued knocking it out. Once it was out and sleeping, I jumped off to feed it some kibble, only to see I only had one piece. And I needed 3. Good thing Meg was fast as we flew across the map back to base. In order to make the kibble though, I was out of artifacts. Quickest way to get some was to make up some of the tier 1 loot boss summoners, and this was a job for Saint Serato, who absolutely decimated it. To the point I summoned in 3 at once to fight at the same time and I destroyed them. With my vast array of artifacts now, I headed home where I could now craft the kibble, then flew back where the Karch had already woken up. I took multiple shots of tranks to knock it out for the second time, fed it some kibble and immediately trapped it to get the heck out of there. I named her Hangry-nator as she was a big angry girl ready to rampage. I took her home, saddled her up and ran out to see what she could do. The morning of day 55, I just kept running Hangry-nator along the beaches, punching dinos as I went until I found these ascended little dodos. I'll admit, I probably should not have even tried to attack them, but I did, only to learn that they couldn't be attacked. Not sure if I needed like a specific tame or something, as to this day I still don't know. Thus the rampage ended and I made my trip home. Somehow Hangry could fit through the gate, so that was pretty surprising for me. And now with all my new tames, I wanted to start working on taking out the rest of the ancient bosses, which is what I'd figured out must be the next step in progression. For the life of me though, I could not find where to craft the summoners. I did find something about summoning an otter which brought in this cute little guy, and just look at him, he's adorable. I named him Ollie. I was gonna name him Kipper, but thought that would be a silly name. And with Ollie on my shoulders, I kept searching through the engrams when I saw this war generator. To craft one though, I needed more polymer to make it. Thus next I was flying out on Meg back to the snow for a polymer run. Sorry little penguins. And with the polymer acquired, I headed home to try once again to craft the war generator and find I was now short of ingots. At least now I had Kylo Ren, who I have to say was a mining god. Not only was he fast and one-hit rocks, but he also was passively smelting the ore straight into ingots. And I had everything to craft this war generator. If it did what I thought it did, I did not want to have it in my base and flew down the cliff where I placed it down. My theories were correct. This structure is what I'll have to use to summon all bosses going forwards. I set up a second at my base, not to use, but to be able to pull the exact resources for each summon. Starting off with the ingredients to summon in ancients. Starting off easy with the ancient raptor. And the raptor was a tough fight, bringing Saint Serato down to half health. Fortunately, you seem to regen pretty damn quickly. And with the first success under my belt, I grabbed the resources for 2 more summons. Little did I know that today would be the worst day of this entire playthrough. As I was waiting on an ancient Carno to summon, I received a message every Ark player dreads at the top of my screen. What? No. Why is there a Reaper Queen in my base? My base was in chaos. It took everything in order to kill it. The number of tames lost was extensive. Bob, Cytovenom, Hangry-nator, Choppy, Edward, Caballo, and Kylo, Ladron, Bob, Bish, Bosch, and Bush, all of them dead. The amount of progress lost to this attack was unfathomable. I was distraught. All I could do was pick up the inventories of the tames lost in order to reduce how much progress was lost.
No. So much death.
I could only mourn for so long. I had to keep moving forwards for the lives of those who were lost. Okay, well, that sucks. Let's go kill this damn ancient. Hopefully it's still there. Having killed the raptor previously, I was able to take down the Kano, losing less health this time around as I knew what to do to best use Saint Seratu. And the next ancient on the list was the Rex. He had more health than the other ancients, leaving me forced to use the Seratu's speed in order to keep my distance at times in order to heal. But the Rex fell just like the others.
Take the one too many times. Do I die? I don't die. Hey, but I learned so much to take. Dilo, do not mess with me right now. I am so pissed right now that Descended Reaper Queen spawned on my base.
It's pretty apparent I was still hurting. With all my ancients I had available taken down, I headed home to do some more cleanup and then was going to go out and find some replacement for those who were lost. But finding a wild ancient, chose to prioritize that instead, as this is where the mod starts to get a bit grindy. You'll have to kill dozens, if not hundreds of ancients to progress. So taking a wild one, which I didn't have to summon, was just the smarter play. I ended up heading home afterwards, simply to continue taking stock of what remained at my base, sorting out the dinos that survived and cleaning my base up by replacing my storage. And with the constant need to progress looming over my head and the days remaining rapidly decreasing, I made sure to remain organized and look at what ancients were still on my hit list. So far, I had killed 4 of the 9 ancients. But why was I killing ancients? At the time, I'll admit, I didn't fully know. But I do now, so I can give you a small idea of what I figured out. You need the ancient tokens to make these token clusters. Token clusters are then a key ingredient for summoning all future boss summoners. So I'd be needing to kill these ancients a lot. That meant I would need an army. To craft any more kibble though, I had to get more artifacts. I would have fought more loot bosses but was short the ingots I needed after Ankylo died, and the 2 pieces of kibble I had would be enough for now as I flew searching for a mate for my divine Seratu. Instead I found something I didn't know I wanted until I saw it. A divine griffin. It was a powerful, majestic beast, and would be a massive upgrade over Meg. One that I would have to work hard to be able to knock out. To help me, I jumped onto Drakon to see if he'd be more effective than my rifle. Now, Drakon actually turned out to be extremely useful for a completely different reason. As when I used the spitball attack, it massively slowed the griffin and I could take the necessary pot shots until I put the griffin to sleep, dropping into what was actually a really scary area with rock drakes, manners, and even more things which were politely leaving me alone. I didn't want to take any risks though and grappled to Drakon and let myself down, where I fed the griffin so it would tame, then trapped it immediately to flee the snow biome. I was home in the morning and decided to name my griffin Kuda Bursayap, then hopped on to go for a test ride. As this was a divine, I was able to activate divine power. Now, I didn't explain this for the Seratu as I hadn't quite figured it out, but it seems to just be a damage reduction and damage increase buff available to divine tier and even some beyond. With this buff, I was able to swoop and swing farming entire beaches with a single swipe attack. I felt so confident with Kuda, I summoned in the ancient Quetzal from my war generator and took it out in one of the fastest ancient kills yet. I may have still lost most of my foundation tames to that Reaper, but it felt good to now have a powerful land and air tame. The rest of the day was then spent rebuilding that lost foundation, setting up the destroyed crafting structures and some penguins to start breeding for a polymer farm. I had a large batch of penguins ready to go in the morning, throwing them out in lines as this is the brutal side of Ark. I killed every single penguin, then harvested their corpse with my moss chops for a boost in polymer, then using what was a very expensive amount of resources, applied some damage upgrades to my sniper to help make any future tames knock out quicker. Getting it up to apprentice tier. I probably could have just crafted the blueprint I had and it would have been cheaper, but oh well. With my upgraded sniper, I made a quick visit to the snow biome on Kuda, tamed up a snow owl before turning my attention to a level 116 female divine griffin that I tranked out, cleared the area and tamed to end off the day. Since I was working towards making those ancient token clusters, I had to look which ones I had so far and which ones I still needed. I was 4 types short, including the 2 strongest ancients, the Giga and the Wyvern. They would not be easy, but I had a plan. First though, I needed more metal, so I flew in search of Ankylo's replacement, finding a new one pretty quickly that I tamed and named Metallurgy, who was just as good as Ankylo at harvesting metal, and now for some reason a raptor tried to stop me, but it got smacked. And a Rex knocked me off of the Anky, so he got smacked by my Divine Griffin. Would they just let me gather metal in peace? Please and thank you. Once I had plenty of metal ore, I parked Metallurgy at base to continue smelting all of the ingots, while I took Saint Seratu out to finish off a couple of the loot bosses for the artifacts. I think I killed a good couple hundred loot bosses throughout this run, so at this point, I'm just going to stop bringing them up as they're not much of a challenge anymore. The next step in my super secret ultra hidden master plan required more souls. So using my Divine Griffin started to take out the Devilish Megalos, Dinosuchus and Divine Spinos. Any and every soul would be needed for the future, but for the short term, I needed more Divine Souls the most, using every attack in my Griffin's arsenal to kill things as fast as possible. So much so that the rest of the day was spent fighting anything I could find. I eventually made it back to base as I was going to need some more Divine Kibble for my plan. This is where some of you will know what I want to do. I wanted to tame another Divine Seratu. If you worked out the plan, you deserve a gold star. In fact, everyone who has watched till now deserves one. So let's confuse all those who haven't watched till now by commenting something weird. Like, damn, that French fry you tamed was amazing. The Seratu tame went by quick and easy, and I named her Seraphina, then took Seraphina and sent Seratu home, where I placed them next to each other as I wanted an army. Once I had a baby, I had to do some rearranging to make my base a bit neater, but now I just had to be patient as my army needed to be created. While waiting, I did some chores like farming penguins, making bullets, all until I had a new Seratu baby that had all of the best stats, taking it out for a leveling spree to ensure it was as strong as possible to end of the day, and this was not to be my only Seratu, however. As here, back at the war generator, I had a best statted female that I leveled up as well. You see, for these stronger ancients, I wanted the mate boost that you get when you fight with a male and a female. A buff which gives you a 33% increase to damage and armor. So with that, it was time to fight the ancient Bronto and its 1.1 million health. It got melted. Even the female Seratu that did not have a saddle barely lost 30k health. Next on the hit list was the ancient Stego. This fight would be easy. Oh, so I thought, as its impale dismounted me, killing me and Ollie. When I wanted to respawn though, my beds were gone, thanks to that Reaper attack, and this broke rule 23. Make sure if you die, you have a better base. I woke up on the beach around 1,000 meters away and began the sprint back. A couple raptors did try and give me a hard time, but left me alone as I got close to my Seratos. My Seratos had killed the ancient Stego without me, but that also meant I never got the drops. I at least did not lose any stuff. And first thing I did when I got back to base though was make some new beds and set up a cooker since I was running out of food. Then the next day I summoned in the Stego for round 2. I had learnt my lesson. When I got impaled, as you can see by this buff in the corner, I backed out, leaving my second Seratu to keep fighting. Got dismounted and jumped back on to continue the battle, taking out the Stego. The only 2 ancients left was the Wyvern and Giga, and I chose to do the Wyvern first, and while difficult to hit due to its flying, my Seratus once again melted through its health bar. For the final ancient, the Giga, I'll admit I was a little nervous, so I did not just bring the 2 Seratus, I brought a whole squad. I summoned in Ollie's replacement in the morning, Eli, then made my way down to my generator, where I summoned in the ancient Giga. The Giga was defeated. I now had everything I needed to make the ancient token clusters. What did I need them for? I didn't actually know. What I did know was I would need a lot more souls, thus I headed out to continue farming while I racked my brain for what to do. Since I was thinking about progress, I wasn't paying attention as I tried to kill a Divine right next to a Celestial Titano, who one-shot Kuda, me and Eli in a single attack. Clearly Celestials are not what are next on my hit list. At least, not till I get something more powerful than divines. I recovered my things in the morning, then headed home where I made the decision to fly out and get a replacement divine griffin. A choice that I did not realize would go as terribly as it did. Flying over on Drakon, eventually finding a griffin, not noticing how low my stamina was when I attacked it, and Dracon's stam quickly ran out, so I dismounted with my digitizer to try and trap it, but was blocked as I got swatted by the griffin to be sent flying. There was nothing else I could do as I watched the griffin take out Drakon, losing me another of my most important tames. I was stranded. It was day 69, nice, but I had no backup flyer on me, not nice. I was desperately scanning the area looking for any tameable flyers that wouldn't need a saddle. I even knocked out an excellent lightning wyvern, but only had one piece of boss kibble, so I would not be able to tame it. There was a griffin in the distance, except it was out of my rifle's range, and I tried to float my way closer, except this damn mana had to be put to sleep since it wouldn't leave me alone. I was being incredibly cautious, making my way through the snow, as everything deadly seemed to be in this area. But it wasn't the threats I could see that killed me though, as a Dodo Reaper burst from the ground, taking my life. Respawning at base, I used Draco to fly back, only to get there as Alta, my otter, was killed by the Dodo Reaper. I needed to get my stuff, but with this Dodo Reaper camping the body, I did my best to lead it away. They made a mad dash for my body and stuff, and then zoomed out of the cold, surviving with 19 health. I'm not sure why, but every day 69 always seems to go terribly for me. I spent the next day feeling lost, and admittedly did not get much done. I was just messing around mostly, mourning the loss of my tames with death until I simply decided to come home. It was then on the morning of day 71, I saw these engrams. For the ancient Evo Raptor. I needed ancient clusters to make these, so surely this was the next step in my progression. The first one I made was the Raptor. Okay, let's check out this Evo Raptor. Ugh. You stats kinda suck. You can't even carry me. You've got 200 weight. Fortunately for me, this was only the first step of the Evo chain, as I made a core turning my Raptor into a Carno. Okay, your stats are a little better, okay. And then the Carno evolved into a Therizino. And you are pretty strong. With over 200,000 health, this may just be my new strongest dino, and one that I could evolve even further once I get the resources. Before I did though, I wanted to see how strong this Theory was as I saddled it and headed out. Since it was a Theory, my first stop was actually the Mushroom Forest, as one thing I was running short on was mushrooms, but this Theory in particular seemed unable to gather any. What I could gather here was an artifact cave. And this map actually had a ton of secrets which I never really got to explore. What I did eventually find were some tames to test out my Theory against, starting with the group of aloes that my Theory ripped right through, and an excellent Indominus Rex. I killed it in less than a second. For the next day, I headed home to clean out the Theory's inventory, then grabbed everything I needed to fight some ancients, not just one or two, but multiple. Fights which my Theory absolutely powered through. Raptor dead, Rex slain, Trike gone. Each and every ancient got slain by my Theory and army of Ceratos. It was a slaughter. I felt so damn powerful! To think I could have done this way faster than I have. With all the ancient tokens acquired, I thought I could now evo my Theory. As if the Theory was this strong. How strong would whatever's next be? Only to find I was now short of souls. That left me to head out and defeat as many divines and devilish as possible, while still keeping away from the abyssals. As if I lost this Theory, I'd be set so far back. I was not certain I could recover, so I played it safe. Eventually heading home where using everything I had collected, crafted the Evo Theory core. Alright Therizino, let's see what you become. The ancient Evo Spino. Oh, you're gonna be a big boy. And sadly in the Spino, I started to head out only to get stuck on the gate. Guess he was pretty thick. But I got him through with a digitizer and spotted a Descended Reaper Queen right outside my base. Unleveled, and the Reaper stood no chance. You are a beast. The next day was spent leveling. I then kept going, only to find an ancient stego. Free kill, I guess, until it dismounted me multiple times, even almost killing me. As I ran on though, I saw an alpha dodo rexy. Aggroing it over, the fight was on. But my Spino's power held strong as I took it down.
Just you reach so fast. Did I get the egg?
I did not. I did get some scrolls, which gave me info on how I'd go about creating the Alpha T-Rex. It was quite long and complicated, so I'll explain once I do it. As once I got home towards the later part of the day, I wanted a mate for my Spino, so that meant I needed to Evo one. Raptor, Carno, Theory, and not enough resources for Spino. These Evos were super expensive, but also why I wanted two. I wanted to spend the next day researching, planning out my route for victory, and that meant I was having a look through all of the engrams to unlock every summon.
My god, there's so many bosses. Holy.
And it was at this exact moment I realized there was no chance I beat this entire mod in only 100 days. It had too much content and I had no clue what I was doing. So I decided to see if I could beat up to a tier 5 boss by day 100, as that technically be halfway. And then if this video gets, say, 10,000 likes, I'll complete 100% of it by day 200. A challenge I'm not even sure I could do. But I'll take it on if you as the audience show me you want it. For now though, I still had to get a move on if I was to beat a tier 5 boss, as with little over 20 days left and I hadn't even killed the tier 3 boss yet. I chose to name my Spino Spiritomb, then made my way down to the war generator to begin taking out more ancient bosses. And I continued to take advantage of ancients spawning in the world for a free bit of essence, and I wanted to know how powerful Spiritomb really was. Thus, when I found this abyssal broodmother, I couldn't help but think, what if I could kill it? Oh, why did I die off the back of it? Why can I... Oh, I regret my choices.
Spiritomb is not dead.
Yeah, I did not realize it could attack the players, so I was pissed. If I lose Spiritomb now, I would lose days of progress. I flew back as fast as possible where the flight was ongoing, and Spiritomb was losing. But I had an idea though when I flew out of render before Spiritomb was killed.
Yeah, if I sit just in render where Spiritomb is but the broodmother isn't, you can heal up just by regenning.
Would this work? No idea. I had to try though. Inching closer till I saw Spiritomb who started to regen, and yes! I have to simply keep this exact distance with no brood. A poison drake that must have worked for the brood chased me off for a bit until I thought Spiritomb had enough health and flying in to whistle him over and out before the brood could keep attacking. I had done it! Spiritomb was safe! So mounting Spiritomb again, I very carefully got my stuff back so I could head home.
You have got to be kidding me.
Let's go the other direction. Day 78 was a bit of a blur. I farmed penguins, made in place to take replicator, farmed some ancients, and ended the day making some more token clusters as I still wanted that second Spino. And on day 79 I wanted to check out this artifact boss to see if it was better than the loot bosses, but the rewards I got compared to its cost just felt like it was not worth it. I'd also since run out of black pearls, and up until now I had been relying on the loot boxes. With how expensive these crafts are getting, I flew off to find a pearl diver anglerfish. Finding and taming one early the next morning and named it Angelica, and this should solve my pearl needs in the future, and I took out an ancient quetz on my way home, then ended off day 80 knowing that soon I would need to start fighting the tier 3 bosses. Before fighting any bosses though, I wanted a backup supply of Spinos as I evolved my second Evo Theory into another Spino.
Yes, I got a female. Oh, I got a better health stat as well. Nice.
With 2 Spinos, I now had them breeding so I would have an army of my strongest tame soon. One that could get stronger still once I unlock the next Evo core. I had a look at what I needed for the ancient Divine Guardian boss summon, and I was short some Unreal Essence, thus headed out to tame an Unreal Terror. I think my other died to that Descended Reaper attack what now felt like a world ago. And as I was heading home, another damn Matagana was back and I killed Chopsticks, my longest alive tame. He'd been alive for so long. This death hurt a lot. I wanted some revenge on just all wild dinos in the area. And I was tired of my base always being free game. Starting with you, the broodmother right outside.
It can kill you off your mount. Really?
I suppose the deaths this playthrough aren't quite finished yet. I saddled one of the spiners which had been bred up, fetched my stuff from where I had died, and using the spino to clear the area before fighting a full range of ancient bosses. These were the final few essences I needed to be able to craft my first tier 3 boss summon. I whistled my army of divine Seratos to a new location for my generator as it was time to summon the Descended Divine Guardian.
There's no going back now. Hopefully I'll be able to do this. Like my Evo spider is strong.
Tokyo drifting, you ready, bro?
Oh. Let's go, boys. Yes. Easy. It's running. Chase him down. Yeah. Easy.
Boom! Tier 3 boss dead. Slight overkill with the army, but my prizes were a bunch of advanced armors which had no durability. Finally, I wouldn't need to keep repairing my armor the whole time. With how good the divine fight went, I instantly turned my attention to summoning the Descended Devilish Rex.
1.5 million. Get him, boys. Stands no chance. Get him, boys. Oh, yeah.
The Rex fell as fast as a Spino, giving me another heap of rewards, this time including blueprints for saddles to make my creatures even stronger. Then as I got home, I had to do more research in my engrams.
I'm guessing now I have to go kill Celestials?
Well, that is the only thing I could think of, and there's no time like the present, so I headed out with my Spino to see what I could find. Surely these fights would be easier, I had to keep saying to myself as my search went on throughout the day. My first target, the biggest Celestial of them all.
Celestial Titanosaur. You need to kill corresponding Celestial Guardian if you want to evolve one. I don't really want to do this Titanosaur first. I want to do something slightly weaker. Like a Giga, if I can. You know what? I have backup Spinos at this point. If I lose it, it is not the end of the world. YOLO, let's go. Oh, okay. Run. Need to reach in somehow. Okay. Can I activate this mode? Does that give me health? Oh, it does give me nice damage reduction. And I got the divine power. Okay. I got 15 seconds to kill this thing. Oh, I probably die. It's gonna be close. Oh!
Celestial kill achieved! I only need to do that a couple dozen more times. No problem at all. The remainder of the day was then spent fighting an abyssal Dodo Reaper.
Oh, very nice.
An abyssal Indom.
I can't move! Oh!
It suffered a similar fate. And finally, a Celestial Rock Elemental alongside another Titanosaur. I felt like a god. I was gaining confidence and willing to take on any Celestial at this point. Until this happened.
Yes! You're doing so much damage! Ah. No, not the rock! I'm stuck! No, I'm stuck! Go! No, please! Please! Let me up! Let me up! This is bullshit! Oh. Ah! Bullshit! I need that saddle back. That saddle's expensive as heck. Oh, this is the border of the world! That's why I couldn't move!
Note to self. never get cocky, else you risk losing your strongest tame. I got back the Spino's stuff, then had a final word to say before leaving. I flew home in solid silence. There is nothing more humbling in this game than having your strongest mount die when you felt you were unkillable. I could not give up though. I threw out a new Spino that I named Spindle, as well as a mate for Spindle who I named Spirallax, before spending the rest of the day fighting many more ancients, all in preparation of fighting my first tier 4 boss. And after that loss to Celestials, I was not sure if I was ready. I needed a confidence boost. These ancients were not cutting it. I decided to head into the most dangerous biome I could safely go, the desert, only to find my path blocked by a legendary Dodo Rexy. I got no magic egg again, and I fought a couple excellent and even abyssal gigas, but I was here for Celestials. There's my prize. Celestial Giga. Right next to the fucking abyssal manticore. And then started the fight as it immediately flung me away. I took it out even as it tried to fling me away again. And I fought Celestial after Celestial, along with the occasional abyssal. I was starting to feel confident again. I wanted to fight a tier 4 boss. I think I need to just send it against a tier 4 boss. I think I just send it. So I headed home. I first had to clean up a baby explosion from breeding too much, then grabbing everything in preparation. I think we just send it. Like, the worst that can happen, we fucking die. Tier 4 Celestial Giga, let's go! We gotta kill this shit! My whole army's gonna die. I just know it. Go get it, boys! Oh, Spindle! Okay. Oh, gotta keep the power up. If we're not powered up, we just freaking die. Ouch, don't stand in that. That's bad. Bullshit barn behind there. No, I need to get to the side of him. Make sure we are permanently powered up. But you know what? This is fine. Don't do all. Got it, move. We unlocked something. The Microraptor? What? How are we even alive after this battle? I had done it. My first tier 4 defeated. And with that, I had unlocked the Celestial Giga Evo Core. I could get my own Celestial. Now I was excited, except when I looked at the transmitter, there were no excellent Gigas currently on the map. I would need to keep my eyes open if I had hopes of taming one. I wasn't stopping there as I turned my eyes to look at fighting my next tier 4 boss. My first abyssal. The Descended Abyssal Carcharodontosaurus. I was feeling so damn good right now. I headed home where I balled up Spirallax, thanking them for their service and made the Carchar Evo Core. I logged in on day 88, checking my scanners for any Gigas and Carchars that may have spawned, but nothing. So I decided to fly out and see if I could force any spawns by scanning the map on my Griffin, loading every area where I had seen them before in hopes it may trigger a spawn. A plan which actually worked for once, as when I looked at my mobile scanner, I saw not just one Giga had spawned, but 2. I tamed the first quickly, naming her Big Mama, then the second, who I named Big Papa, bringing them both home to start them breeding as I wanted to Evo the baby. When it was fully raised, by the end of the day, I fed it the Evo Core and watched in anticipation as my Celestial Giga spawned into this world. 1.5 million! Great Papa! I had never even had a tame with 1 million health. Now to have this? I was pretty pleased. Saddling them up in the morning, then headed out for a rampage.
I just killed a divine without even biting at it. Oh! Nom nom nommies.
Nothing, and I mean nothing, stood in my way as I mowed down the beach, murdering everything.
Oh my god!
That's unreal.
Bro! They should not have given me this much power.
I even took my revenge on the celestial rock elemental that had killed my first ancient Evo Spino, and that's when I decided I needed a real challenge. I needed to head to the deadliest biome on the map. A biome full of celestials, abyssals, and more. Fire Skull Island. I was killing all the celestials, flexing the might of my Giga.
I think so long as I don't run out of stam, I can't die.
That's why I learned the stamina potion engram. I would be needing this. I kept fighting the island for the rest of the day, farming the celestial and abyssal souls I would be needing. I definitely did not want to lose this Giga, but I still needed to risk it. I made the decision to summon in the tier 4 Descended Celestial Giga once again. But this time, the fight was easy on my own Celestial Giga, taking it out with fairly low risk to myself. This gave me another soul. A soul I used to evo a second excellent Giga into my second Celestial Giga. I set them up next to each other and enabled mating.
They're mating! Yes, I can breed them!
When I tell you how damn excited I was for this baby Giga, I wanted to do nothing else but wait. I even tried playing poker by myself, but I didn't actually have any friends. It's my friends over on a group channel that I run with Chaotic and Chrometer called The Nest. We play a ton of games over there with way more videos in here. So if you want more of that juicy content, check it out using the link to the channel in my description, or just search The Nest. Eventually the Gigas had an egg that I could hatch, so once again I was waiting until the end of the day where my new Giga was ready. Celeste. She was going to be a god with 2.7 million health unleveled. I had to test her out. And how better to do it than by fighting another tier 4 boss.
The Ancient! Let's hope I can kill you!
It had 55 million health and it was fast. I was dealing good damage, but stamina was starting to run low as I tried to sprint away to regen some stam, right up until the Ancient Phantom did its special attack, killing me instantly.
Take that. Eat. Oh, no! Oh. That's okay. That's okay. I have backups.
None others had raised up yet. No others had even hatched yet as I looked through my terminals. Thus I grabbed an army of ancient Spinos, using them to rush the Phantom in hopes they distracted long enough for me to grab my stuff. Mainly the Giga saddle as it was really expensive. I eventually saw my chance to run in and transfer the bags to my Serato I was riding for the speed, sprinting away back to base. A new Giga had since raised up that I named Star Fury. Before saddling and heading out to level, I wanted a rematch against the Phantom, only to get where it was and find it had since despawned. I was kind of relieved, instead turning my attention to these dodos which I'd been unable to attack so many days ago. Surely now I could kill one, and it was a tough fight, but I managed to kill it though.
You're summoning something. What are you summoning? Versity Warden of Ascension. 714 million health. Nah, fam. Nah, I'm out of here. I am curious how much damage he does, though. Is he like a tank? Come along, Evo Spino.
Throwing out a Spino, I whistled it in to see what this thing could do.
So a lot of damage is what you're telling me.
Yeah, not something to mess with right now. All this time though, I had been breeding up a horde of Celestial Gigas, a horde that I was planning to use against the Phantom Giga once again. The Phantom shredded each and every one of my Celestial Gigas, leaving me to fight it on my own. Its health was dropping, but so was mine. Then it all happened so fast, I didn't even realize I'd killed the Phantom Giga.
Oh, shit. I don't know if I killed it. Did I kill it? Star Fury died. Did it die? It died! Yes!
I had just unlocked the next Evo call for my ancient Spinos. I sprinted back to get my stuff as I started to research what I needed to Evo my Spinos.
I would need to kill 2 to be able to get a breeding pair.
I made my first Evo core the next morning, evolving my Spino into the ancient Evo Giga. Time to see how strong you are. I named it Evangelion after what is one of the few anime I've actually watched a very long time ago, then went out to test its attacks.
Okay, you can shoot the tornado thing. Got fire breath. That seems to be about it. Oh, I can do the bubble. Oh, the bubble.
I ran out killing a wide range of creatures, even melting an abyssal with a bubble.
But it does the bubble. Bubble, I like bubble.
With my curiosity sated, I wanted to compare this Giga to my Celestials. First, I gave it an imprint potion for a fair comparison.
Okay, 2.1. That's pretty close. It's obviously less points. Like, you are 37 points at 2.2. Oh, actually,
I may have been underestimating the ancient Evo Giga at first, now that I had imprinted it. There's only one true way to test a tame, however. That was by summoning in the next Ascended Celestial, the Wyvern. Evangelion was able to take it out even if I had to run for a while to regen my stamina, but I killed the Wyvern all the same thanks to my fire breath finishing it off. Next on the list was a Descended Rock Elemental. I had brought Great Papa along for some backup, but unridden he got melted.
Oh, rip Great Papa.
Then one final bubble attack finished off the rock.
Eat my bubble! Yeah! Bubbles. I like bubble.
I gradually was working my way through each Celestial boss. The Megapithecus and Rhino both went down easily, and I was killing these bosses working my way towards crafting my first Celestial Warfare Key, an item I needed to fight the tier 5 bosses, the War Chiefs, my end goal for this first 100 days. I had a look in the morning to see which were outstanding, and that was the Titanosaur, Rock Drake, and Element. The Titanosaur, being massive, just made it a bigger target as I took it down, and the Rock Drake was just as easy as it too fell like it was nothing. But all this was doing was feeding into my confidence. A confidence that would soon become my downfall as my next fight was against the Celestial Element.
Oh! How are you... 100 and... that's big attack! What? This is not what I expected! Why are you so much more stronger than all the rest? Move! I'm sorry, I was cocky! I'm sorry! Please!
I desperately tried to flee and heal, but my luck had run out.
Go into the water, No! So low on health. Go down. Go down.
Oh! Never get too arrogant. It will be your downfall. Always. I had just lost days of progress, as that was my only ancient Evo Giga. Using my Serato, I was able to get back and reclaim my stuff. I was fortunate the Element Wyvern had no interest in tormenting me by killing me over and over again. But the damage had been done. I was out of ideas. There was only 3 days and a bit left of the challenge, and how on earth was I meant to get to tier 5 when I couldn't beat this final tier 4? I did not want to give up hope though. I wanted to try again.
If we can kill it, we keep going, and we see if we can get to the war chiefs. If not, then I concede defeat for the 100-day challenge.
2 celestial gigas with the best saddles I could craft, and now they simply needed levels.
Not gonna level you, but I will level the one I'm riding. And I'm pretty much gonna pump it all into stamina, I think. Like, I don't think melee helps me too much considering there's the damage cap.
I quickly killed a few dinos, but did not want to take long in fear of the element despawning, and ran over to start round 2.
There we go. I need to be dealing the maximum. Oh, you fucking little... Just get rid of them. Okay. Yeah, leave your attacks at home, buddy. How am I out healing this? There's my attack, fine. Get off my ass! I don't want to be stuck here! There we go, there's another nice big attack. More bullshit! There you go. 7 million, 3 million, 2 million. Yeah!
Against all odds, the celestial element was defeated. I wasn't at my goal yet, but god damn was I pumped to beat that boss.
What is your name? Nothing. There we go. You're now the element god killer.
I took my supplies home where I was able to craft my first celestial warfare key. 1 down and only the abyssals left to do. So that's what I did. The rest of the day was spent fighting each abyssal one at a time, and they all fell to the element god killer. I was remaining careful though, killing every single abyssal until only one remained. The abyssal element. I was waiting with bated breath as the war generator was crafting. This was it. My fight against the abyssal element was here.
There we go. Oh, you're already throwing in your minions.
Its damage felt insane. My Giga was rapidly dying, such that I desperately tried to run, but once again, I was too late.
You died at like nothing. How? What?
My only theory at this point was you needed to use abyssals against this boss, and I was on a celestial. I collected everything I had lost as I thought about what to do, deciding that I needed an abyssal. Checking out my scanner, I went out to tame an excellent Dodo Reaper, bringing it home where instead of trying to get a second one to breed, just made a cloning chamber to clone up some extras, before feeding it the Evo Core, giving me an abyssal Dodo Reaper.
Hello, big boy.
It didn't have a saddle slot, but I still had to try fight the abyssal element.
Okay, cool. Let's imprint you and go try it out, see if we can kill this thing. Maybe we've got some insane damage reduction or something. I don't even know, man.
And with my Dodo Reaper imprinted and plenty of health pots at the ready, I headed out to try and fight the abyssal element once again. But this time, I again got absolutely melted. I never stood a chance. I was completely out of ideas. I was out of time and I was out of tames. This day 100 and I was finished. I had failed to even get to tier 5 bosses in 100 days. But this journey doesn't have to be over yet. As I set a challenge for you as a viewer, if this video gets 10,000 likes, I will try to 100% this mod by day 200. For now though, thank you so much for watching as it's time to close my doors. Until next time.